Good morning, motor cars. Welcome to December. It is December 7th. Let's see, birthdays this weekend. Actually, on the 6th, which was yesterday, my dad. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you and I miss you. On the 8th, in Honda service, Mark D'Angelo. So happy birthday, Mark. Anniversaries this weekend, also on the 8th at the Rainforest Car Wash, Brittany Patton. So happy anniversary, Brittany. Let's see, this day in history. In 1865, the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was passed, ending slavery. The Constitution was purposely built by the founding fathers so that it could change with the times. That's why we have the whole amendment process. President Thomas Jefferson, who was responsible for the Declaration of Independence and much of the Constitution, wrote that he expected that our Constitution would likely be rewritten every 20 years or so to keep up with things, as is still common with many other countries around the world. We just haven't quite gotten around to doing that. In 1921, Ireland declared itself a free state, ending more than 800 years of British rule. In 1941, 361 Japanese warplanes bombed Pearl Harbor, which drew the U.S. into World War II. In 1969, the Rolling Stones threw together the Altamont Festival, which they hoped would cap their U.S. tour and also be kind of a West Coast version of Woodstock. It was, to say the least, poorly planned. For example, they paid the Hells Angels $500 worth of beer to act as security. Those two things should never go together. The Angels injured a member of Jefferson Airplane and stabbed a concert goer 20 feet from the stage. Altogether, there were 4 deaths at the show, ending the 60s in violence and blood instead of peace and love. 1987, 200,000 people marched on Washington, D.C. to protest the Soviet Union's treatment of Jews. Some factoids for you. In 2018, this year, U.S. life expectancy dropped for the 3rd year in a row, driven by an increase in opioid overdoses and suicides, some of those connected. A fully loaded oil tanker traveling at normal speed requires at least 20 minutes to stop. That means that if it suddenly spots a reef as far as 3 miles away, it's probably still going to hit it. And that's part of the reason why you have to be so careful with oil tankers. 1957 had the highest rate of teen births in American history. This was due in large part to a change in dating practices following World War II. Before the war, dating was mostly casual and involved multiple partners. During and after, a perceived shortage in available males produced the idea of going steady with one individual, which made sex more likely. In the US, more people under 35 live with their parents than with a significant other, and the number's rising every year. Let's see. Although unemployment in the US is currently low, wages for everyone but the top 15% of earners continue to decline. That's probably part of the reason why so many folks are still living with their parents. Although it has half the population of the other 22 highest income nations combined, the US had 82% of all gun deaths, 90% of all women killed with guns, 91% of children under 14, and 92% of young people between the ages of 15 and 24 killed with guns. Word of the day. So here's some things I've been following as far as our industry goes and changes and whatnot and new developments and technology and stuff. So Waymo is a division of Alphabet, the same company that owns Google, and they've launched a taxi service recently in Arizona that uses Waymo self-driving cars, which are modified Chrysler Pacificas. And they expect this to take off, and as soon as they finish all the testing with their original sets of customers, they spread across the country. The current tariffs against China mean that GM and Ford will each take a $1 billion hit due to higher steel, aluminum, and part costs, which eventually will be passed on to consumers and result in U.S. job losses. GM has already announced 14,000 layoffs. That's not really, it's a little bit disingenuous, though, to say it's strictly about the tariffs. It's not. One of the things that's affecting the industry hugely is not just the fact that there are tariffs and things, but that folks are moving away from moving away from cars into SUVs, trucks, and electric cars, and the industry is just having a tough time keeping up with that. And that's part of the reason why so many of those plants are closing. The cars that they were building are just not popular, so they're not going to build them anymore. However, China did retaliate by raising tariffs on non-Chinese cars in their country to 40%, which essentially stops sales of all US-made cars. Who knows when that's going to end? Let's see. Let's see. One of the other trends. There's less need for mechanics trained in mechanical aspects of automobile repair and maintenance, and higher demands every year for techs with electrical and computer knowledge, especially as cars get more and more intelligent. We know that because we work on them. According to the Harvard Business Review, 65% of all auto sector jobs have task level automation potentials of at least 70% in the next 10 or 15 years. Basically, what they're saying is that 65% of all auto jobs are going to go away and be replaced by robots or software. Um, let's see. Volkswagen announced it is producing its last generation of gas and diesel powered vehicles. Beginning 8 years from now, they will only build electric vehicles. Let's see. Another company I hadn't heard of before, Rivian. I hope I'm saying that right. Rivian. They basically have started a company where they have a subscription model of car ownership for all the cars that they make. And basically what you do is you get a car just like you would pay your Netflix payment or something like that. It's on a month-to-month basis. They plan to let customers subscribe to their vehicles month to month rather than sell or lease them, and won't have any dealerships of any kind. Basically, customers just order the vehicle online, they pay their subscription, and then they just drop it off on a trailer. They plan to license existing auto dealerships to service their vehicles, but believe that the traditional auto dealership is on its way out. Well, we definitely know that. We're far from being a traditional dealership. We do more and more things in-house. We keep spreading all the things that we're doing into new businesses all the time, and we are the dealership of the future. Have a good weekend, Motorcars.